This is the key to the worksheet on topic 30, and that's the chapter on functions. And on this worksheet, you were given functions and you wanted to find these function values. Notice some of these you're evaluating the function at a numerical value, and some are at expressions. So let's go ahead and look at number one. So number one, we have this function, f of x equal 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. And in part A, you want to find f of 3. So remember, to find f of 3, you're going to go to your function f. You're going to go to your function f, which is this one right here. And wherever you see the variable x, you're going to substitute 3. So I see a variable x here, and I see a variable x there. So this becomes 2 times 3 squared. So again, wherever you saw the variable x, you substituted 3. But don't forget, it's being squared. Minus 3 times x, which again is 3, and then plus 4. And then using the order of operations, you know you have to do exponents before you multiply. So 3 squared is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. So I get 18 here. And then a negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9, and then plus 4. And then adding and subtracting from left to right, I get 18 minus 9 is 9, and 9 plus 4, that's a 4. 9 plus 4 is 13. So the answer to 1A is 13. Okay, now notice it did say show work, so make sure you show the work. Follow directions. Okay, part B, you want to find f of negative x. So again, wherever you see the variable x, so you're going to go to your function f. Wherever you see the variable x, this time you're going to substitute a negative x. So we have 2. See, this 2 times x, so I'm substituting negative x now. So 2 times negative x squared minus 3 times negative x, and then plus 4. All right, now you got to remember, negative x squared, negative x squared means a negative x times a negative x. And a negative times a negative is a positive. X times x is x squared. So this right here becomes 2x squared. So that's 2x squared. A negative 3 times a negative x is a positive 3x, and then plus 4. And that's it. There are no like terms, so you're done. That is f of negative x. So f of negative x is 2x squared plus 3x plus 4. Okay, and then in 1c, you want to find f of x minus 2. Now, this is a little bit more challenging than the others, because in the others you had, in this case, it was a numerical value. In this case, it was a binomial. So here you have two terms, so you got to be careful. So again, let me go ahead and just rewrite our function again. So our function is this. It's 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. Okay, so just as before, wherever you see the variable x, see right here, wherever you see the variable x, you're going to substitute that expression. So this becomes 2 times, in place of that variable x, you're going to substitute x minus 2. But don't forget, you're squaring it. Minus 3 times x minus 2, and then plus 4. All right, now you got to do some work here. So you're squaring a binomial, so you got to remember what that means. So x minus 2 squared means x minus 2 times itself. All right, and then you could use FOIL method here. You multiply two binomials. So x times x is x squared. The outer is a negative 2x. The inner is also a negative 2x. And the last, a negative 2 times a negative 2 is a positive 4. Combining like terms, I get x squared. A negative 2x and a negative 2x is a negative 4x, and then plus 4. Now this right here is only this. So be careful, it's only this. But remember, this is this, right? But that's being multiplied by 2. So you got to write it like this. 2 times x squared minus 4x plus 4. Make sure you put that in parentheses, because all of these terms have to be multiplied by 2. So in the next step, we're going to use the distributive property. And I'm going to go ahead and just use the distributive property here. So I'm going to multiply both of these by negative 3. And so I get negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6, and then plus 4. Using distributive property here, I get 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times a negative 4x is a negative 8x, and then 2 times 4 is 8. And then I'm going to rewrite all this over, and then we're going to combine like terms. So 2x squared, I have a negative 8x and a negative 3x. So that's going to be a negative 11x. And then I have 8 plus 6 plus 4, which will give me 18. And so there's the answer. So f of x minus 2 will be this expression right here. So that is letter C. So I'm going to get 2x squared minus 11x plus 18. All right, now let's get number 2. So in number 2, we have this problem. So you're given two functions this time. So this is number 2. You're given the function f of x, which is 4x plus 5. Oops. And you're given the function g of x, which is negative 3x squared plus 5x. All right. And you want to find in 2a, you want to find f of 3x plus 1. All right, so you got to be careful. Make sure you go to the correct function. See, this is f. This is the function f. So here's your function f, and here's your function g. So you have to go make sure you're using the right function. All right, so just as we did before, whatever, let me go ahead and just rewrite this part over. Oops. All right, so whatever, that's 4x plus 5. Where we see the variable x, you're going to substitute that expression. All right, so where we see the variable x, you're going to substitute 3x plus 1. So this becomes 4 times, in parentheses, 3x plus 1, and then plus 5. And then here I can distribute right away. So 4 times 3x is 12x, 4 times 1 is 4, and then plus 5. And when I combine like terms, I get 12x plus 9. And that's 2a. So 12x plus 9. All right, now in letter B, so this is g of x, so I got to go and use this function now. So in part B, you have, you want to find g of x plus 4. So you got to make sure you go to the correct function. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that function over. So here's our function, g of x. And where we see that variable x, I am going to substitute x plus 4, right? And so when I do that, I'm going to get negative 3 times x plus 4 squared plus 5 times x plus 4. All right, and we got to do some work here because I am squaring a binomial. So x plus 4 squared means x plus 4 times itself. So if I FOIL that, I'm going to get x times x is x squared. The outer is 4x. The inner is also 4x. And so remember, when you square a binomial, the outer and the inner will always be the same. And then 4 times 4 is 16. Combine like terms, I get x squared plus 8x plus 16. All right, now remember, this part is only this right here. So that's b multiplied by negative 3. So I get negative 3 times x squared plus 8x plus 16. And I'm going to go ahead and distribute the 5 here. So I'm going to get 5x plus 20. So 5x plus 20. Distribute the negative 3. I'm going to get negative 3x squared. A negative 3 times 8x is a negative 24x. A negative 3 times 16, if you need to use your calculator, use your calculator. Negative 3 times 16 will be a negative 48. And then plus 5x plus 20. All right, let's go ahead and combine like terms. I have negative 3x squared, a negative 24x, and a positive 5x, right? A negative 24x and a positive 5x is a negative 19x. Negative 48 and a positive 20 is a negative 28. And so that is the answer to 2b. So 2b, you're going to have negative 3x squared minus 19x minus 28. Okay? All right, so don't forget, you always read the directions, always follow directions. So the direction says show all work for numbers 1 and 2, so I did that. So there's the work for number 2. And then number 3, there's no work to show, like we did in the previous problem. So let's just look at number 3. Now the difference between 1, 2, and then 3 is that in problems 1 and 2, your functions were given as expressions. So you were given a function equation here, right? See that? F of x equal, g of x equal, a polynomial. These are polynomials in this case. But here, your function is a set of ordered pairs. Okay, so these are a function that's written as an equation. This is a function that's a finite set of ordered pairs. So I can count how many ordered pairs there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you graph these, I mean, you all know how to graph a line. You get an infinite number of ordered pairs on that line. So just be aware that this function only has 4 ordered pairs. Okay, so it's an easy thing to deal with. You just have to remember that in these ordered pairs, the first coordinate's x and the second coordinate's y. Okay. All right. So let's look at, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on another paper. So let's go ahead and rewrite this over. So this is number 3. Number 3. So number 3, you have your function is this set of ordered pairs. So my first ordered pair is -2, 5. My second ordered pair is 6, -4. My third ordered pair is 0, 7. And my fourth ordered pair is 8, -1. And in part A, you want to find f of -8. All right, so remember what that means. See, in 1 and 2, it's pretty easy to find f of, in this case, -8. Because wherever you saw the variable x, you substituted, in this case, 3, right? But here, you don't see that kind of situation here. You're given a finite set of ordered pairs. So you got to think about what this means. So this means, what is the y value? What is the y value when x is -8? That's what that means. So you got to look to see which ordered pair has your x being -8. So this is right here, right? So that's where x is -8. And the question is, what's that y value? Well, the y value is -1. That's your y value. So f of -8 will equal -1. There's your answer. All right, so the y value. So it has to be that y value. In part B, you want to find 3 times f of -2. So 3 times f of -2. So the first thing you're going to do is going to find f of -2. All right, so remember, f of -2 means what's that y value? What's that y value when x is -2? So when x is -2, that's this point right here, this ordered pair. And the question is, what's that y value? Well, the y value is 5. So f of -2 is 5. So, but you got to multiply that by 3. So this becomes 3 times 5, which is 15. So the answer, you're going to say, this is the answer. You're going to say 3 times f of -2 is equal to blank, 15. All right? Because f of -2 is 5. 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, in part C, you want to find f of 6 plus f of -8. All right, so again, what's the y value when x is 6? So when x is 6, what's that y value? That y value is -4. So this right here is -4. You're going to add that to f of -8. So what's that y value when x is -8? Well, when x is -8, the y value is -1. So -4 plus -1 is equal to -5. And so the answer, you would say f of 6 plus f of, that's a plus sign, plus f of -8 is equal to blank, and you would say -5. All right, D, you want to find f of 0, subtract 2 times f of 6. F of 0, subtract 2 times f of 6. So f of 0, so what's that y value when x is 0, right? So when x is 0, see there's where x is 0, that y value is 7. So f of 0 is 7. But you're going to subtract 2 times f of 6. So what's that y value when x is 6? Well, when x is 6, that y value is -4. So that's so I have 7 subtract 2 times -4. So that's the same thing as saying 7 subtract 2 times -4 is a -8, right? 7 subtract a -8 means 7 plus a +8. So you change that to an addition problem. You add the opposite. And so 8 plus 7 is 15. So f of 0 minus 2 times f of 6 is equal to 15. All right, and then number 4. So don't let number 4 confuse you because that idea of number 4, f of 10 equal negative 2, use this information to identify a point on the graph of f. So remember when we talked about that, this means when x is negative 8, my y value is negative 1, right? There's your point. This means right here, f of negative 2, let's do this one. F of negative 2, my y value is 5, right? When x is negative 2, so there's your point. So when you look at this one, f of 10 equal negative 2, this is your x, right? So the answer, the point of the graph is going to be 10 comma, and then this is your y value. So my y value is negative 2. So there's your answer. All right, so that is the key to this worksheet.